Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at a city that's maybe less one single place and more like layers upon layers of history. Delhi.
That's a great way to put it.
It's often called the city of cities, and you really see India's extremes there.
Yeah.
Ancient ruins right next to, this booming IT sector. It's a real study in duality.
And understanding that duality, well, you really need to grasp the sheer scale first. We're talking the National Capital Territory, the NCT. That alone is almost 17 million people.
7 million.
But then add the wider metro area, places like Gurugram, Noida, and you're suddenly looking at over 31 million residents. It's massive, makes it the world's third largest urban area.
31 million. It's almost hard to even picture that number concentrated in one area. So our mission for this deep dive is to explore how Delhi handles all that history, that immense scale.
Right.
We'll look into its deep layered past, trying to navigate that visible clash between old and New Delhi, and then, interestingly, look at some global collaborations the city's using to tackle huge challenges, particularly pollution and waste.
Yeah, those are critical.
Okay, so let's start with the history bit. Delhi's famous for this idea, isn't it? That it's built on, like, 7 older cities.
Yeah, the 7 cities of Delhi concept. You hear it all the time. Qutb Complex, Siri, Shahjahanabad.
It really gives you this feeling that modern life is just happening right on top of these sometimes forgotten empires.
It's fundamentally true. The political importance goes back, well, centuries further than some people realize. We can trace continuous settlement back to the 11th century. There was a fort, Lal Kot.
Built by the Tamar Rajputs, right?
Exactly. And then each ruler essentially kind of started their own new city nearby, leaving their mark architecturally.
And those marks, those are the iconic things, aren't they? Like the Qutb Minar, defining that Islamic era.
Absolutely. The Qutb Minar, that amazing victory tower from around 1200, it's a key landmark from that early period. Then, fast forward a few centuries, you get the great Mughal emperor Shah Jahan.
And he establishes Shahjahanabad, what we now call Old Delhi.
That's the one. And he gave us landmarks like the Jama Masjid, India's biggest mosque, built between 1650 and 1656. A huge statement.
So that Mughal city, Shahjahanabad, that became sort of the image of, well, vibrant chaos, maybe? But then the British arrive and decide to build something completely different.
The total opposite, really. The 8th city, New Delhi. That was the big project for architects Edwin Lutyens and Herbert Baker.
And their vision was deliberate, wasn't it?
Oh, completely. It was planned explicitly as this vast, ordered garden city, very structured. When it was inaugurated in 1931, the idea was rationality, permanence, a stark, conscious contrast to the dense, almost organic sprawl that was already there.
And that physical layout kind of tells the whole story of Delhi's modern tensions, doesn't it?
It really does.
And you, the listener, you feel that contrast the second you arrive. New Delhi projects power, order.
Yeah.
You've got these sweeping avenues like Rajpath, the big monumental buildings, Rashtrapati Bhavan, the presidential residence.
India Gate.
India Gate, yeah.
Yeah.
And the planned commercial centers, too.
Connaught Place is the absolute symbol of that colonial order, that huge, almost perfect circle. It's where you find the big international brands, the expensive corporate offices, the wealthy elite. It screams modernity, global connection.
But then literally you cross the street, maybe take a rickshaw just a short way, and bam, you're plunged into Old Delhi, Shahjahanabad. And it's just intense, frantic, almost medieval feeling. The streets are incredibly narrow, and they're not just for walking, they're choked. Vehicles, rickshaws, motorbikes, cows, people.
The sources we looked at capture that sensory overload perfectly. The constant noise, the smells, spices, sewage, ammonia from somewhere, traffic fumes, all mixed together.
And those old Havelis, those amazing mansions.
Crumbling mostly, repurposed. Now they're workshops banging away or warehouses piled high with goods. Chandni Chowk Market, meant to be this beautiful canal-lined place.
No, just a major wholesale street, totally gridlocked. Almost impossible to move through sometimes.
And this physical contrast, it maps directly onto the social and economic divides,
Absolutely. You've got this huge demand from the IT boom, the tech sector, fueling luxury shopping. But then the poverty is just staggering.
We read figures like 6,000 destitute workers arriving every week, just trying to find something. It constantly strains the city's ability to cope.
And leads to these jarring sights, like slums literally pushed up against fancy shopping malls. Select City Walk Mall was mentioned as a prime example.
Yeah, And that intense pressure cooker situation, it also creates serious demographic issues. The NCT, the main territory, has this significant gender imbalance. Only about 868 women for every 1,000 men.
And that's not just about men migrating for work, is it?
No, unfortunately. It points to deeper social problems, too, including, tragically, female feticide. It just adds another layer of complexity to managing this incredibly dense population.
So when you put it all together, that deep history, the density, the sheer number of people,
Yeah.
it's kind of no surprise the environmental impact is huge. Delhi's air quality, well, it's infamous globally.
It really is. And the pollution sources are complex. You've got the massive volume of traffic, often older diesel vehicles.
Right, plus local industry emissions. And then, critically, the seasonal factor, that crop burning in nearby states.
Exactly. Stubble burning in Punjab and Haryana, mainly. And Delhi's geography doesn't help. It sits in a sort of flat basin.
So in winter,
In winter, temperature inversions basically put a lid on the city, trapping all that smog right overhead. It becomes this toxic bowl. And this is where waste management really connects to the air quality problem through something called short-lived climate pollutants, or SLCPs.
SLCPs.
Yeah.
Okay, for listeners maybe not familiar, these are pollutants that they don't last as long in the atmosphere as CO2.
But while they're there, they pack a massive punch. They're incredibly potent warring agents.
Terrifyingly destructive, yeah.
Precisely. And methane is a big one here. Released mainly from decaying organic waste in landfills, it's actually the third largest man-made source of greenhouse gases overall.
And much more potent than CO2, right?
Oh, yeah. Over a 20-year time frame, methane is something like 84 times more potent than CO2 at trapping heat. Then you add black carbon soot, which comes from incomplete combustion, like the open burning of trash.
Which is common.
Very common in many places. So you see how the waste sector becomes this critical piece of the whole environmental puzzle. Not just landfill space, but direct climate impact.
Okay, but here's where the story takes a really interesting turn. How Delhi is tackling this, not just on its own, but through global partnerships, mentorship even, through the Climate and Clean Air Coalition's City Waste Exchange Program.
Yeah, this is fascinating. It's about turning a city's own difficult experiences with pollution into expertise it can share.
And the model city for this kind of turnaround is Kitakyushu in Japan.
That's the one. Back in the 1960s, Kitakyushu was one of the most polluted places on Earth. Dokai Bay there had almost no oxygen. They literally called it the Sea of Death.
Wow, Sea of Death.
But they turned it around, systematically. Through really strict anti-pollution laws, getting citizens involved, and crucially, partnerships between government and industry. By the 1990s, it was recognized as a leading eco-city, a total transformation.
Incredible. And now they export that knowledge.
Exactly. Kitakyushu has mentored other cities facing similar waste and pollution challenges like Cebu in the Philippines, Medan in Indonesia, helping them implement practical things, waste separation programs, composting, capturing gas from landfills.
Real-world solutions. And for Delhi, the partner city is Rio de Janeiro.
Yes, Rio in Brazil. And the focus for the Delhi-Rio exchange, it's not just about building new landfills or incinerators, it's about the whole system.
Like changing behavior.
Exactly. Tackling behavioral change at the household level, getting people to separate waste, and also setting up proper legal frameworks, especially for tricky things like electronic waste.
So it proves that these massive problems of density and pollution, which seem so overwhelming in a place like Delhi, they can be tackled. Shared knowledge is key.
It really demonstrates that potential, yes.
That success in tackling challenges kind of brings us back to the city's core spirit. Because despite all the struggles, environmental, logistical, Delhi's culture, its crafts, they're incredibly resilient. The National Museum of Handicrafts and Handlooms, the Crafts Museum, is a great example.
Oh, absolutely. Founded way back in 1956 by Kamaladevi Chattopadhyay, a key figure in reviving Indian crafts. The whole place is designed to preserve that heritage.
And the design itself is part of that, isn't it? By Charles Correa.
Yes, Korea designed it to feel like a traditional Indian village, not just a sterile museum space. It gives context to the amazing collection, over 35,000 artifacts. Textiles, carvings, pottery.
And not just static displays, right? They have this living village complex.
They do, with artisans actually working there, demonstrating crafts, running workshops. It's about keeping these traditions alive, empowering the artisans, helping them adapt skills for today's market. Culture surviving, even thriving, right in the middle of all the urban chaos.
And then, of course, there's the food. Probably the most immediate way any visitor experiences Delhi's culture.
Definitely. And because Delhi draws people from absolutely everywhere in India, the food scene is this incredible dynamic mix of regional flavors. It's constantly evolving.
You can find fancy restaurants, sure, in places like Connaught Place.
High-end dining, absolutely.
But the street food, that feels like the city's soul, doesn't it? We're talking those classic staples. Chol bhature.
Oh, yeah. The spiced chickpeas with that amazing fried bread. Or rajma chawal, kidney beans and rice. Comfort food central.
And things that maybe weren't originally from Delhi but are huge now, like butter chicken.
A Delhi specialty, really. And momos, Tibetan dumplings, they're everywhere. Hugely popular.
Can't forget golgappes, those crispy shells filled with spiced water, also called pani puri or puchka elsewhere.
You gotta try them. That fast, flavorful street food culture, it really fuels the city's pace, you know.
It totally does.
So if we try to tie this all together, the big picture for Delhi, it's defined by things existing side by side, simultaneously. Its deep history is literally its foundation. Its chaos, well, that's its energy, its pulse.
And it's huge problems.
Its huge problems are being met step by step with these very specific, often hard-won solutions, and increasingly through global exchange and learning. It's a city constantly, sometimes violently, trying to reconcile its past, present, and future.
And what really jumps out, I think, is the human side of that struggle.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about Delhi's tough reputation, the density, the challenges.
Yeah.
But people who spend time there consistently talk about these small moments. Resilience, kindness, counter-narratives.
Yeah, like the simple act of someone diligently sweeping their own little patch of dusty pavement, keeping their small space clean amidst everything else.
Or that anecdote we read about. 5 young guys instantly stopping their bikes in heavy traffic to help an elderly cyclist who was struggling with a heavy load, just jumping in to help.
That capacity for immediate, localized community action, that feels like the real spirit that keeps the city moving forward despite everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So considering the success of these city exchange programs, Kitakishu used this environmental recovery story to help Cebu and Delhi's current work with Rio. Here's something for you, the listener, to maybe think about.
Okay.
Which other global city, maybe one facing similar intense pressures from population growth and environmental stress, could Delhi now mentor? Using its own hard-won lessons in adaptation and tackling pollution and managing that sheer scale, something to mull over as the city of, well, maybe 8 eras and counting keeps transforming.